Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekend for a free $200 credit.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Sourcebits. Visit sourcebits.com to begin your mobile app development journey, and by Squarespace. Use the promo code TWiST9 when signing up to save 10%.
Hey everybody. Sorry for the late start. It's This Week in Startups. We've got an amazing program for you. It's the News Roundtable. Paige Craig, Tyler Crowley, and Kirin Kalia are all here. Stick with us. It's going to be an amazing program.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups, the show where you learn about entrepreneurship, putting a dent in the universe, and basically making products and services that are just a little bit better than what came before, hopefully a lot better. And we've got an amazing news roundtable today. You know, once a week we do the news, and there's a lot of news in the startup space from Google, Facebook, Twilio, Yahoo, and a lot of other folks. Although it's This Week in Startups, a lot of times we talk about the big companies because they have a big impact on startups. So it'll be 50-50 startups and big companies. And of course, we couldn't do the program without the support of great partners. And I just found out today from Jason DeMont, who's just been an amazing executive here. You know, Jason started out running the Korea. I think he did an Ask Jason call one time. He pitched his startup on Anchor. Then he did the Korea meetup in Seoul. And then he became our sort of like director of business development. And boy, has he been tearing it up. The show is sold out through January. So if you wanted to buy ads in the program, it's like talk to us in 2013. The program's doing fantastic in that way. But what's really great is we get to pick who we want our partners to be. And one of those partners is Sourcebits. They are the leader in mobile app and cloud development. They do a great job. They do design-led engineering. And what that means is they make beautiful stuff for folks like Hershey's, Coke, GE, and even Sequoia Capital. That's how I ran into the founders over there. And hey, here's one of the things they built. It's called eHighlighter. I'm pulling it up. It's actually, I'm expanding it because this is my iPad. It's an iPhone app. But what an interesting app. Can you pull that up there? I'll just double the size. And you take a book, you take a picture from a book, and then you can highlight. So if I take my phone, I could grab a photo from any book. And so I'll just pull one of the photos here from my photo album. And then I say, oh, I want to highlight something. So I just pick what I want to highlight and the beginning and the end of it. And then I save it, boom, it asks me what page am I on. I think I'm on page 116, boom. And I set the page, and boom, now I've got it here set into my notebook with all the annotations from the book and what I wanted to save in there. Really interesting way to convert, something you take a picture of in a library or a bookstore or a friend's book or something you're reading and get it into this digital format. Very creative design, something they built for somebody, a client. And if you're falling behind in your mobile development, you're basically falling behind in your business. Half the activity on the internet is now coming from mobile devices, and that's going to become 2/3 in my belief. And if you don't have a great mobile strategy, you're going to fall behind, and you need partners to help catch you up. The best partner I can recommend is at Sourcebits. They do a great job. And if you take a meeting with them, you'll get a 15-minute meeting with me. And a lot of people have taken them up on this offer. I've met a lot of great entrepreneurs in that process. And if you wind up using them on Sourcebits, we'll demo your product here on the program. Hey, that's kind of cool. So go ahead and email sourcebits@thisweekend.com, sourcebits, B-I-T-S, @thisweekend.com for more information. And everybody thank at Sourcebits on their Twitter account. With me this week is Paige Craig, a serial entrepreneur and angel investor. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jason.
You look tan and well-rested. Took a little vacay?
Took a long vacay.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a month?
And I checked out the Berlin startup scene.
Oh, yeah. I heard that's popping off.
Killer. If I was going to invest in Europe, I'd be in Berlin.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just everybody's moving there and all these great startups. It's not just Germans, right?
No, it's a net producer of talent. And you got folks from London, folks from Northern Europe coming there. You got Americans moving to Berlin. And
Tyler Crowley is back with us. Tyler, how was Sweden?
Great.
And are you married? It's a speculation here. You want to make an announcement? Drum roll.
He had to donate a kidney to his girlfriend now.
No.
What's the story? No, nothing to announce.
No, nothing to announce.
How was the trip?
The trip was awesome.
Yeah, you gone for a couple weeks.
I was gone for 2.5 weeks, I think.
And you were gone also in the summer for a month.
and a few weeks before that. Yeah.
Awesome. And you're traveling around. Very nice. Well, I'm very happy for you.
It's a new monthly plan.
That's the squeal plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, mazel tov on that, and congratulations on the baby. I hope it's a boy or a girl, whatever. I don't know what's going on in Tyler's personal life, but something is going on, and and he's like showing me like select photos here and there, and it's a pretty good situation, based on what I'm seeing in the iPhone 4S. You didn't get the 5 yet?
I just got back here and they were all gone.
Yeah. See what happens? You leave.
I know.
And then you lose a generation. Hey, Kirin Callie is here, the managing editor of the Launch Ticker, which is surging. How's everything going?
It's going great.
Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Wow, the blue shirt looks good on camera. Very good. Don't wear black.
Nope.
Because you didn't need to disappear into the blackness.
I would never do that.
So we have a lot of news going on. Why don't you tell us what the first story is, Kirin?
Well, the most interesting story this week probably is the fact that California is now going to allow driverless cars. We all know that this is really about Google, right? Because they've famously tested that already. Now, the cars are legal, but a licensed driver must be at the wheel and able to take over if there's a malfunction. Sergey Brin was there to observe the signing of this into law with Governor Jerry Brown, and he was wearing his Google Glass. And Sergey said, we hope to have employees testing it within the year and on the road within a few years after that. So where does the self-driving car rank in the list of Google's achievements, and do you actually want to drive one?
Well, as I said in the Launch Ticker, this cannot come soon enough for California, because we already have people in
the most
driving cars
drivers in the world. Yes.
Essentially, these cars are driving themselves, because I drive down the highway and I literally see people texting with two hands or texting with one hand, or these Tesla goddamn owners are screwing around on their web browser watching the Launch Ticker.
You. Mm-hmm.
Like me. Yeah, both of us, all 7 Tesla Model S people. Yeah, obviously this is a fantastic thing. And my question for this whole thing is they said the driver, and when new laws come out, and I don't mean to be a hater about it, but the driver has to be ready to take over.
Yes.
So that is a very nebulous way of, because, technically you could be ready for anything, but does that mean they have to be looking at the road? Could they have a newspaper up and have their vision of the road blocked? Could they be sleeping and be ready to take over if an alarm went off, if they're a light sleeper? Did we get clarification on that?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're trying to get clarification on what it means to take over. The reason Google is doing this, obviously, is there are billions of hours wasted in car travel by drivers every year. And what are people going to do if they're not steering their car? They're going to be doing searches. And of course, local is a huge, market for advertising. And maybe they'll be looking at the restaurants around them or things they could go do. But it's going to be a major recapture of time that people were wasting actually driving. And it's obviously going to be safer. There's no reason to believe that this will be more dangerous than what people are currently doing, which is distracted driving. So I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's going to work. There's no reason it technically can't work. There will be bumps in the road, but so to speak. But the bumps in the road, I don't think will be like fatalities or anything like that. What do you think, Paige? You want to be in a driver's car? You want to see people?
I'm a big fan, but I think what everyone's missing is it's not about consumers. You just said local, and what's really key here is that this is as important as tabulating machines and Abacus, because local's about getting goods, right?
Right.
So screw the consumer. Imagine a day when a vehicle can move a shipment from Amazon to you, and there's no driver to pay.
Right.
This changes the entire local delivery business. Everything in the world. So this is massive transformation. Yes, it's great that I can go out and get drunk, and then my car's going to drive me home. That's awesome. Yes. More importantly, the cost of goods.
Just for that reason. They could just make it available for people who are drunk, right?
Right. But you're going to be able to get a book,
delivered,
food, produce, everything moved in vehicles, airplanes, ships.
Right.
This is about
So you think this is a
navigate.
stepping stone to driverless cars?
I think it's a massive computers navigating.
Right. But in order to get that benefit, there would need to be no driver in the car. So you're saying this is a waypoint.
100%.
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that.
If there's a driverless car, you could drive that thing off the road and take the goods.
No.
What do you mean, like hijack it? You hacker
if there's an Amazon truck going by full of stuff.
Yeah, this would be the new way. It'd be like Boardwalk Empire. This is the way we boost the,
There goes the iPhone shipment. Go get that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We
Push
hack
it
the
over.
iPhone shipment. Yeah, we should write a science fiction movie right now. That actually could happen. That's conceivable. listen, there's gonna be so many people fighting this, and you know what the interesting thing is? The people who are gonna fight this are these old people who shouldn't have licenses to begin with.
Who should be using self-driving?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what the biggest complaint is gonna come from, like.
Ironic, but no, they
80-year-old
won't
people.
because they're going to be like, well, I can keep driving.
They can take a nap.
Yeah.
No, everyone's in it because drunk drivers support it.
Yeah.
And trucking companies support it.
Drunk driver support, or the people who are anti-drunk driving support it?
I mean, car
I
companies
can
support it.
drive. I don't need a computer. How to drive. I'm okay.
It's true. East Texas is going to lose a lot of labor in the trucking industry. Like, that might be opposed to it, but
Yeah.
realize if you're making cars, you're probably going to sell 3 times as many vehicles
Yeah.
because of driverless vehicles.
There's the other thing, which is you won't need as many vehicles on the road if you can
Be more efficient.
100% utilization of the vehicles.
Oh, right, because they could be going at night to drop stuff
Right.
off or on
Yep.
non-peak
Same
times.
thing with his
And they could
point.
drive closer together, probably.
Same
and
thing
in
if his point
packs.
is that the regulations right now is truckers can only drive 10 hours at a time, and then this thing would go all night.
Right. So the other thing is the driving in packs thing. I think is the most interesting. Is that you could be. By the way, when I put a video up here, what I would like you to do is just put a picture in a picture or cut to it while we're having our conversation. Whoever's running the TriCaster right now, so you can put you can do that like kind of thing, and so yeah. You know, what'd be more interesting is if we had those little like speeder bikes that. Like the motorcycles they have now that have the gyroscopes in them and don't fall over.
Oh, yeah.
And they could be like, they could just like take the book, and here's the book, and we put it like, into the little slot on the bike, and the bike just goes, boom, and it's like weaving through traffic to race the book to you, like Amazon style. That's interesting. Like if they're building this to screw with Amazon, that's a pretty long plan. I mean, that's like a 20-year. Like you might as well go into a time machine and try to kill Amazon.
Yeah, but it's going to be a platform, right? I mean, it's probably going to be an open platform. And the next thing I'd say
and
is
if it's Google, it's ad supported.
Yeah, I mean, this is really going to help maps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, listen, I'm happy it's making progress. I think it's awesome. Look at that, man. These videos of it like driving. This is Sebastian, who was on the program, Sebastian Thrun, who is doing Udacity now, and like just watching it like drive through San Francisco and like stopping for pedestrians is just insane. These things are better drivers than humans.
That's the
It's so
point, though,
clear.
right? That's why past California is because they showed the math on it's
No.
actually
Past
safer.
California is because it's Jerry Brown, and he needs to get huge donations from
that too.
tech people.
Okay, no question there.
Yeah.
But also, statistically, mathematically, it's safer
makes
than a
sense.
human.
It's got to be safer than a human.
Yeah.
How could it not be? Because humans are so fallible. But I mean, then the question becomes: would you want an airplane completely with pilotless airplane?
Apparently, they more or less are.
They more or less fly themselves around.
Apparently from the Air France disaster, where the guy, I mean, it's funny, but it's also tragic. The guy pulled up and then slowed down. When like, if you want lift, you're supposed to increase speed, right? And you're supposed to go down to get thrust so that you can then have lift. This guy was pulling back, and then finally the other guy, the pilot who woke up, was apparently with his girlfriend or his mistress. Did you hear this? No. Like the pilot was like with his mistress. He was traveling with a companion who wasn't his wife or something, and he was asleep or whatever, indisposed, and he had to come rushing in, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "No, don't pull up, push forward."
You don't think there's a high heel maybe leaning against that?
It could have been all kinds of no. There was no shenanigans in the cockpit, but I mean,
How do you know there's no survivors?
they got the
black box?
They got the black box, so
Oh.
they have them like. I mean, if you hear the tape of that, it is.
Why don't we have video on those boxes? Why is it all audio?
What was that flight? It was like, yeah. Why don't they? That's because of the. I guarantee you, that's a great question. Why don't we have video of the cockpit?
Pilot
It's because of the
unions.
pilot unions.
Yeah.
Flight Air France.
Same thing with teachers.
What was that Air France flight? Let's see.
It
Air
was
France.
from Brazil
A80.
to Paris.
What was it? Brazil. Air France. Crash. I'll just type Air France crash.
I'm sure it's the top result.
Crash report. Audio. Yeah, audio, right.
Yeah. It's always audio.
It is unbelievable when you hear it. It's just like, God, I wish I could find this. Anyway, I'll find it during the commercial break. Anyway, it's like clearly what's needed, but then you need to have people be able to actually figure out what's going on. So with these guys, something went wrong with the speed indicator. So then they were going so fast, and I don't know. It's
So-
a really fascinating.
So, Jason, how old would you need to be to theoretically take over a driverless car? I mean, could you have
Yeah, to have a lot.
12-year-olds?
Yeah, of course. You're not going to put a 12-year-old in it. It has to be
They
somebody who
put-
has a license, right?
They
yeah.
put blind people in them, though.
Yeah, people who can't get
Yeah, that's
licenses now.
interesting because that is interesting. So then that whole argument that the blind people are now going to be able to drive, that's only if they get. So I guess during the beta, you have to be prepared to take over. But if this proves to be safe over some millions and tens of millions or hundreds of millions of miles, statistically, we're going to be able to let people do it, I guess.
And no
The problem is,
high-speed chases.
Well, now that's the other scary thing. You can just open up a can.
No. I want my computer to be able to navigate a high-speed chase to be able to get away.
No, but they're going to just, boom, turn it off. It's Google.
No, I know, but how great would it be if it was like...
I mean, the government goes and...
How great would it be if hackers, like, if it's an open API, and I could be like, yeah, I want to... You could program it to, like, optimally get away from the cops and go under underpasses.
Yeah, but he brings up a great question, are the authorities, because they're going to be able to dictate whether or not this really happens,
No.
are they going to be able to say, we can get access to the brake pedal?
What's going to happen is I predict there'll be a lobby, like, you know, we have the NRA, like, protects guns. There's going to be, like, a car driving lobby. And so this is really futuristic. And, like, 20 years from now, there might be a whole lobby of people saying humans should not be allowed to drive cars. Like, you'll get all these... You know, people on the left being like, yeah, humans are just so valuable, they shouldn't own guns, and they should not be able to drive cars. And just the government's better at driving cars than you, computers are better, and we need to have video of you in the cockpit when you're, you know, whatever, you know.
And we should get rid of meat. No meat,
meat's going away
no
too.
meat, no cars.
All right. Anyway, very interesting. Congratulations, Google. I think it's an awesome project. Congratulations to my pal, Sergey. Yeah.
It's the coolest thing going on.
Is Apple working on this, do you think? Or if Google works on something like this, does Apple automatically go like, well, we're not going to work on it now. Screw it. You know, like, are they not going to do Google Glasses because Google Glass came out first?
I mean, Apple's busy with Maps, right? So that's going to consume it.
Yeah. I emailed Sergey and I was like, listen, this is the most brilliant marketing strategy. Put the products out when they're in hyper alpha.
Yep.
So that you get credit for the innovation before Apple, which only puts out the most polished version. So if Apple puts out a wearable computer like that, it's going to be like too late. Everybody's going to already associate it with Google, right? So it's like when they come out with Google Glass, it's going to be like, oh, too late. Everything okay? Yeah, we'll keep going. Okay. Hey, next story, Kirin Kelly.
All right. So
managing editor of the launchticker.com.
Since Paige brought up the Google Maps, I think that's a good one to go to. So we all know that Apple's own Maps app had a kind of disastrous beginning. Now Google is reportedly developing its own map for iOS. Supposedly wants to be done by the end of the year. They thought that their map would stay on iOS because their contract wasn't up yet, but then Apple reportedly wanted its own app because Google wasn't willing to do voice-driven directions, and you know, all this sort of back and forth. It's not really clear where exactly things stand, but clearly would make sense for Google to do its own iOS Maps app. So should Google have given Apple what it wanted if this is actually, you know, the voice-guided directions is what it was broken down over, or you know, how much does it matter that we'll have to wait? And, you know, what does that mean for the Maps market in the meantime?
Do you have the iPhone 5? Have you played with this yet?
Nope.
You're still on iPhone 4S. Well, I have it, and I have to say it's been delightful. I'm really enjoying the Maps. And listen, if you judged Google Maps, you would have found all this stuff. So what we basically have here is that we have a couple things going on. First, there's a whole bunch of gotcha going on. Like, oh, Apple finally made a mistake that we can, you know, when Apple makes a mistake, since they're perfectionists and Steve Jobs with this legacy of like only release the most gorgeous, beautiful things, that when they release something that has any kind of a bug in it, it's just, you know, everybody piles on. But this is so minor. Like, look, 9 out of the 10 things I see are problems with the 3D, which I guess are the flyovers that people did. Like, you know, they fly, I think, planes over cities to get this 3/4 view, like Cessnas, probably 174s or something, with cameras under them. And so look what happens. You have this like wobbling effect where like, and I kind of like it. It makes like the world a little more Dali-esque. Like I would like to, that would be a cool, you know, in the Tesla or in the Corvette, that would be a fun road to drive. But I mean, it's sort of like, yes, you can find these errors, but the chances of finding an error are so tiny. But of course, if Hong Kong is wrong on the map, when you do a search, that's kind of glaring. So there's a bunch of gotcha going on. That's number one. Number two, Google is great at building services over like a long period of time. Like, so Gmail had bugs, but you know, they worked it out over time. Maps, same thing.
And they iterate like crazy.
Iterate like crazy. And so people's expectation of a Google product is it's not going to work, right? So the Apple is the opposite, and Apple doesn't build services. So when Apple built Ping or MobileMe, so they just have this long history of like, they're just bad at this kind of stuff. But you know what? Because Google wouldn't give them turn by turn, which is a huge mistake on Google's part. They should have given them the turn-by-turn. But what Google was thinking was, all of our handset manufacturers in Android love the fact that turn-by-turn is free navigation. And they just didn't think that Apple would cut the deal for a year. So they're like, oh, we'll just extend it. We have one more year left on this. And Google got it wrong. They should have given them turn-by-turn to remain the default. But I guess Google must have thought we're never going to remain the default. But the turn-by-turn navigation in the maps is incredible. I've used it now like 5 times. I used it just on Wednesday and Thursday going to meetings. I do the turn-by-turn. I put my iPhone in my pocket. It's so good. I don't need to look at it. It just tells you, 300 feet, make a left. 200 feet, make a left. It's perfect. And the iPhone screen is so big that it's the size of the TomTom unit I originally had.
Well, David Pogue in his review pointed out that the first time he used the Apple Maps for directions, he ended up in the middle of a suburban cul-de-sac instead of where he was supposed to go for his
That's
talk.
because he's a dope. I mean, I don't think that's because in particular, he probably made a mistake.
And Google doesn't give a crap because you're not going to need that phone when you're navigating on a Google car.
That's true too. I mean, it is kind of funny. Look at this. I mean, and the funny thing, Steve Jobs would tell you that there's no issue with the Maps program. So this is also Tim Cook wrote an apology letter today about how bad it is.
And he referred people to competing map services like
Waze and other things. Yeah, the Maps piece is insignificant. If there's a couple of mistakes, they'll fix it over time. This is just a slow news week in the tech industry.
But this is a case where Apple didn't actually want to have to build this, right? They would have preferred Google would have enabled the turn-by-turn.
That's what they're saying. I don't believe that. I think they would have liked them to do that for the next year while they finish this. But I think Apple is going to remove every remnant of Google from
it's turning into a head-to-head, middle finger fest.
Absolutely.
Because
Facebook will have a phone, and Facebook will have maps, and Facebook will have a search engine.
So why doesn't Google offer the turn-by-turn on the iOS when they do it on their own?
I think it was just like some mid-level person made like a negotiating decision, when Verizon and these other people are marketing the Android phones, you always hear turn-by-turn navigation because it means in consumers' minds you don't need to. It's like one of the few things they have over the iPhone. Mm-hmm. So it's a bad negotiation. It's a non-issue, but it is kind of funny to watch everybody make it into this huge issue. It's good enough. And the only thing I don't understand is, I understand them making it the default, but why wouldn't they leave Google Maps on there as an alternative for the rest of the year contract?
Or
that shows you that this is a vindictive.
This raises the next question.
It's a bitter
Is Google going to build their standalone, and will Apple let it into the store?
Oh, they have no choice to. Apple cannot play, for 2 reasons. Apple can't play the antitrust game of not letting apps into the store because they did that with the browser for a little while, and things started to heat up, and then congressmen and senators and committees and the government are like, wait a second. We get to talk about technology and get on the news. Let's talk about Apple blocking people. So then Chrome, now you can get Chrome, right? And also Tim Cook is trying to make his own version of Apple, which is, let's face it, a little less
Jack Armstrong?
Dickish than Steve Jobs. I don't think I get a $10 for a swear jar, but he's trying not to be a dick about it, and Jobs was just a huge dick about these kind of issues.
Jason, did you read? I went back and read the one sort of Steve Jobs apology letter for the iPhone price dropping thing 5 years ago, and basically he doesn't even apologize until the very end. He's like, I was right. You all might be pissed off, but the right thing to do was to drop the price. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry we disappointed you.
Yeah, and it's anyway, whatever. I mean, the bigger issue here is that Apple is getting really good at building services and things that are in the cloud. And they're getting better and better and better at it. So you may laugh at this version. You can be like, you got Hong Kong wrong. But you know what? It works 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100. It's going to work. 99 times out of 100, I guarantee you it works. So if it's working 99 times out of 100 and they have, MobileMe may have sucked, but now iCloud, I've restored 3 devices from iCloud. 2 iPhones, one that just died. I got a new one. One that got lost. No. Two iPhones and an iPad. When I got the new iPad 3 or whatever they call it, Retina, I restored. And I just restored on the iPhone 5. I mean, it's amazing. You may not be able to open it like Dropbox yet, but, iCloud works. It just works. And did you see in iOS 6 you can make a photo stream that's in your photo area and share it with friends? So I made one called my daughter's name. and I added my mom, and I added my wife, and I added, sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws, and now we can all put photos onto one common stream. I never have to load. I'm not going to be on Path or Facebook half as much, because that's what I'm trying to do is share pictures of my daughter with with our grandmother, with my mom.
So, Jason, have you used Passbook?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't know exactly what the use case is.
You have tickets to a concert or your boarding passes, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it hasn't come up yet.
No.
It hasn't come up yet. I mean, I haven't even seen it like when I... problem is I'm not... When it comes to that kind of stuff, people book stuff for me, so it's not like I'm booking my own Southwest flight, so I don't know if Southwest allows it or not.
Right, a couple of other airlines.
Have you used it? Has anybody used it? Yeah, we'll see. That's a next story. You have anything to say on these maps? You don't care.
I think it's a smart move for Apple.
Hey, let me ask you, what time is it now? 25. Hey, can I ask you about Betterworks and what happened after the commercial break?
Yeah, shoot.
Really? Because that would be like a scoop.
Yeah, no one's ever asked me.
All right, so I'll ask you right after the break. Here we go. Good. If you said no, I was still going to ask you. But I knew you wouldn't say no.
I figured. And then I get
All right, that's an exclusive when we get back. Hey, let me tell you about Squarespace. Squarespace, another great partner of the program for a long time. They make awesome software, and they provide 24-hour support for creating these beautiful professional-looking sites. And Squarespace version 6 was just launched. And look at the beauty of these sites. You can create gorgeous sites like this, and my wife is now using it for her startup, which I'll be pimping out like crazy, but not right now, in the future. And you can make these gorgeous, sites without a technical person. So you can compete on the highest level in design without having to hire one of these people off Craigslist who then disappears for 6 weeks going on vacation to Europe, no offense to either of you, taking these 6-week vacations. And, you lose the FTP and the HTML5 comes out and it doesn't work. Just like MailChimp or GoToMeeting or these other software as a service providers, Squarespace is the gold standard for making websites. And so when you need to make a website or a family member or a business or even an artist, a photographer, et cetera, they can make these gorgeous websites. And by the way, these websites work flawlessly across devices. So if you make this beautiful still house in Brooklyn and it's this gorgeous website, with great navigation, and it just works beautifully on the web, it also is going to work beautifully in the Chrome or the Safari browser on your iPad or on Android, even though we all know that those platforms are very quirky and they change a lot and they don't always work very well. I mean, I've had this problem where people are like, oh yeah, Safari on the iOS is different than Safari on your desktop, and all those problems. You don't want to deal with all those problems. Squarespace deals with those problems, and what you want to do is go there and purchase a yearly or bi-yearly plan to get 20% off. Or if you just go with the monthly, you can go to squarespace.com/twist, TWiST, squarespace.com/TWiST, and try it for free. Now, and you don't even need a credit card for that. That's how gangster they are over there. They know that they don't need to get your credit card in advance because you're probably going to upgrade and pay for it because it's pretty affordable actually. When you get when the trial's over, make sure you use the code TWIST9, TWIST9, to get even more off. What do they get off with that? Below the pricing, click on it. I don't know what the discount is. You get a big discount if you use TWIST9. So anyway, after your trial, use TWIST9. If you're a fan of the show and you're building a startup, go try Squarespace just to look at how to properly make a beautiful web application. It is gorgeous and easy to use. And when your cousin or mom or brother has a real estate company or they've got a small business and they need to make a website, you just think in your mind, Squarespace. Small business needs a website, Squarespace. Medium-sized business needs a website, Squarespace. Large business needs a website, Squarespace. And then when they need to add a feature, something comes out like, I don't know, the next Facebook comes out or Twitter comes out or Google Plus comes out. Squarespace is going to have you covered because they're building for such a large group of people paying this very modest monthly fee that everybody benefits from that innovation. That's what software as a service and the revolution is about. Zendesk, other places they provide massively great service like this. There's a whole tier of them who provide awesome service at revolutionary prices. It's just dollars a month to do this. So what are you waiting for? Go get Squarespace, and everybody thank at Squarespace. So Paige, Betterworks, I would say, was the hottest startup for the better part of the last, year, 18 months.
Yep.
And it's no longer around. What happened?
Pretty simple. Picked a vision that didn't work out.
Wow.
You guys were adopters of it.
Yeah.
And so were companies like Tesla and
yeah.
Facebook was getting on board. We had hundreds of companies, but hundreds of companies doesn't build a billion-dollar company. It doesn't even build a multi-$100 million company. So great sales, great engineers, great product people cool product, but we spent, since January of this year, that last 6 months was us saying, can we actually build a big company out of this?
Wow.
Can we go past the early adopters? You know, you guys were all great. The LA, San Francisco, New York, Austin was great in showing us that tech companies would do it. We started to get some financial services companies, but then we sort of hit a wall. We couldn't get the older companies. So we started to realize maybe 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 200 companies would actually.
So too early, you think?
Maybe too early, or maybe too niche of a business where
Yeah.
it's like it's a great idea for a young team to build maybe a 10, 20, $40 million company around.
Right.
But, you know, that's not what VCs are interested in. That's not what George, Zhao, and I wanted to do.
Right.
So we had to make this tough call, and we spent about a month debating push ahead, stop pushing. We had spent 6 months pushing. We had half our money in the bank.
Yeah.
We still had another $7 million signed off from Triple Point that they had to give us, and they were really awesome dudes. And we decided there's not a real company here.
Wow. So it's pretty fair of you to go to them and have that level of honesty. How did they take it?
Amazing people. Red Point and Triple Point, even though and this is the best time to judge a VC.
Yeah.
It's really the best time to judge a VC.
Yeah.
Really good time. I'll tell you.
Why is it the best time to judge VC? You're right.
Well, it's easy to be nice when going.
$10. Oh, and you said the F word after 20. Thank you. Let me unscrew that jar for you there, Paige. And we do accept poker chips.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Well, I have
Bellagio
seven
chips?
grand in my car for.
You do?
Well, I had to get money, right?
That's right. Oh, you have $7?
I don't know how
no,
much
next time bring checks. Next time bring a check.
Okay.
We don't want people bringing. Let me explain to you. When these games get big like this, then some dope who's on crystal meth and needs to like catch up shows up with a shotgun and then knocks off the game.
Yeah. Breaking Bad.
Basically. Then I got to take out my Glock from my shoe and then I got to take
No,
care
we'll
of
just go
business.
hand to
So for
hand.
those listening,
Yeah, that's why I got you. That's why you don't care. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny if a guy tries to knock off the game and he's like comes in between Paige and myself. It's not going to be pretty for them.
It's great. You're my body shield. And, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you just take them out after
Perfect.
that. I can take a couple bullets. You ever take a bullet?
No.
How close? All honesty, like how many inches away or feet from your body do you think a death shot was when you were in the? I'm willing to put the $10 in for that. When you were deep in the, how close do you think you came to get taken out? Honesty.
A lot.
How many feet?
Inches.
Inches away from losing your life. When that happens and your bullet comes winging by your head, do you think like this is it, or do you just like you're turned off from that?
Yes.
That's 30.
That was half. That was
25.
That was a pho.
I'll give you. All right, 22.50.
Because it could have been fudge.
But you're like, oh.
I was going to say fudge.
You were like, oh, fudge, really?
I was like, oh, fudge. Oh, double fudge.
But you don't piss your pants though. 'Cause you're like a real man. That's what I like about
but
you.
you get this attitude where and this is a good skill to learn. We don't control everything in life. And sometimes there's an IED, there's a 50, there's something waiting for you.
The 50 caliber. That's what I always tell people. Watch out for the 50.
Yeah, I got hit. I had a guy put a 3-round burst of a 50 cal into my vehicle. And, so there are things you can't control in life.
Yeah.
And so once you realize, it's just like I've been on aircraft, all the windows knocked out, we're going into Fallujah. It's like you realize I can't control this thing. So rather than distract my mind with the stuff I cannot control, let's focus on the stuff that I can actually control. And that makes you really focused, really efficient, and you don't stress out.
And that's why you had the ability to pull the plug on Betterworks, in a way.
And I worked with people that were rational and reasonable.
But while this is coming apart, it's not like you're like, I had bullets go by my head. I had the 50 burst into the, Hummer. Mm-hmm. And you're like, yeah, I can just shut this down. It's okay. It didn't work
Hummer,
out.
But it was, yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
50 caliber is going to destroy a Hummer, right?
Well, it depends. Up-armored Hummer or non-armored or...
And they send you guys out in unarmored stuff. Man, that is just...
Remember, I was running a private military company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we worked with old beat-up cars. I mean, we disappeared. Our job was to disappear.
Oh, right.
Work
So
in the
you're in like some Honda Civic from 85.
Yeah. I mean, we're driving bongo trucks. We're shirtless, no armor, no Kevlar, local weapons. But the point was I set the company in a direction that didn't have a big market.
Right.
We spent, a year and a half trying to prove there was a market. We built the product, couldn't develop the market. We decided give the money back. Because the other question was, okay, let's take...
What about the employees? Employees, did they agree with your decision, or are they like, yeah, we gave up too soon, or we should keep building this $20 million vision?
We had a really regular communication schedule.
Yeah.
And people knew we had financial performance on the wall, we had sales on the wall, everything was open.
So the writing was on the wall, so it's a relief for them.
Yeah. And
they don't want to work on a project out of loyalty to you that's not going to work.
they're great people, but we didn't go to them and say, we didn't pull it too soon, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we pulled too. I mean, it was sort of this consensus. Like, we realized we're starting to hit a wall. And we tried a lot of things to get past that wall.
And you think these guys would back you again? What's your take? You think those?
Redpoint? Yeah, I think if you call up Satish, he would back me.
Yeah. They probably have extra credibility now.
Yeah, I mean, they're not happy losing, the half the money they put in, or a little bit over half once we shut it down. But
yeah, but better to get 50 cents on the dollar than zero. Well, and also, it's opportunity cost.
Better to get a return, but
yeah, but I mean, if your choice is to sit there and maybe spend another 3 years to get back $1 on $1 or $1.50 on $1, it's a waste of opportunity cost because they could be on another board, they could be focused on some other opportunity. Better to put that whatever it is, 5, 6, 7, 8 million into the next company.
Yep. Yeah, but I'll tell you, every investor that we had involved, except one, was a really. I mean, if you're going to be in this game,
yeah,
you're going to invest in some stuff that doesn't work out.
Right.
You're going to have.
You did have one who was like,
you're going to have a couple big winners, and then you're going to have a bunch of middling.
What was it like? An angel investor who just wasn't happy, like an angel level person?
He was a really minor angel investor who never responded to emails to get involved with the company,
right.
And then when he lost half his money, he's upset. And I can't say too much except
rookie. Is he a rookie guy, or is he like? Or gal, or is he like a 10, 20-year vet?
Different type investor.
Oh, okay. So he's outside of our group. Yeah. He's not like you just see him in the top 100.
He was a friend of one of the founders who wanted to put in money.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So it's a civilian. So the lesson there is you can't have civilians investing in your company.
And those people are generally the worst when things go bad, but not always.
Not always, yeah.
So now, the aftermath now, that team is out there. My co-founder, George, had an amazing girl last weekend, first girl.
Awesome.
Yeah. And my assistant got married to one of our engineers, and all of those people went out and got great jobs. Some of them are starting up companies, them backing, and others are backing, and all the seeds that fell from that tree are going to plant something good here.
Well, listen, if you're going to do another one, I'd like to be one of the first
I'm
angels.
going to be investing in entrepreneurs for a while.
Okay. You think that's the better move? Start a little fund, maybe?
Well, he's so good at it.
I think it is.
You look at the stuff that he did before he was doing Betterworks.
I know.
Holy cow.
The list is pretty impressive. Who are the top 3? In terms of...
Klout is going to be...
That's a juggernaut.
I mean, Klout is the Google of the future. And I've been a big fan of Klout since they had that crappy little app, and I cold called Joe to get involved. Douala, I think, is going to destroy. And they're in Des Moines, right?
Yeah, huge.
Middle of Des Moines. And then my third I'm going to save because I have half a dozen companies in that mix who are all on the verge of...
Speaking of which, let's segue into Klout.
For the record, the companies that Paige gets involved in, I regularly ask CEOs, like, who's your best investor? Without fail, every company that Paige is involved in, they, without hesitation, say Paige is our best value-added investor.
Interesting.
Every time.
Hey, when did you know that the business wasn't going to break out, by the way? Was there like a moment in time that you just fluttered in your gut, like,
I knew when there's a quant and a qualitative. The quant being we had done this so many times, we saw that our sales cycle was going longer and longer. It's getting more expensive, and the more you push through the market, the harder it's getting.
So you were measuring
how long it took to do a sale.
How long it took to sell, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the key thing. Like, as you're doing this, it should get easier and easier to a degree. I mean, and we didn't see that, especially when we went to new verticals. Second thing, when you start to see that qualitative aspect of the people you're working with no longer have the same there's no way we can't win kind of mentality, right? And that starts to happen once you realize we've explored every avenue.
Yeah.
We're in a cell with no escape, and then you might as well, you can't.
So it basically becomes like people start giving up, the hope, the hope starts to fade.
I would say no one gave up, but we're at that point where people are starting to question, like, we've explored every avenue.
Yeah.
Is my boss insane? Is this guy just so clueless that he doesn't get?
So it got a little like Colonel, who's the Colonel in Apocalypse Now? It got a little.
We didn't get there.
You didn't get there, but it would have gone there.
Well, I don't want to take a team there.
Colonel, what is that guy? How do I not know that? Colonel.
So Paige, the possibility
Talking
of
about the guy in the Belgian condo, or are you talking about the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
did the possibility of a pivot ever come up?
It could. Yeah, that's another story.
You had other pivots, possibilities, yeah.
I mean, there's always pivots. We were really jazzed about the enterprise space with HR. But, there's another lesson there is selling to HR.
Colonel Kurtz, yeah. Selling to HR, right.
Fun times.
Yeah, good. That's two or 3 years of selling. Let's do the Klout story.
You want to do Klout. All right. Yeah. So this is an interesting...
As I have a sip of my Manhattan Special espresso drink.
So Klout got Microsoft to invest and to partner with them.
Huge.
you will now start seeing Klout scores in Bing searches. It'll be in the People Who Know section on that right-hand column, alongside with Twitter and Quora. And that Bing search data will be contributing to Klout rankings, so you'll get a boost when you show up in People Who Know. And Wikipedia entries will also get a boost when those entries show up and get clicked. Now, it's not exclusive for either party. There's no word on how much Microsoft invested. So what does this mean for Google? And would it make sense maybe at some point for Microsoft to acquire Klout?
This is a great question, and we have an investor in the room, so he can't answer some of those, but why don't you just talk about what do you think the significance of the deal is?
I think it's huge. This is sort of like their Facebook deal they did. I mean, Joe personally went and met with Gates, and this has support all.
Ballmer or Gates?
Gates.
Yeah, wow.
This has support across the whole organization. They have a joint development team. Microsoft and Klout are actually working together and working on the speed and the algorithms behind there. You know, Joe's going to get access to all the information out there. I mean, the same way Larry and Sergey sat down and said, websites, we need to understand how they're linking so you can find information. Joe's doing that for people. And if you think, what's more important, understanding web pages or people? I mean, we're in a world where billions and billions of people are coming online, right?
Yeah.
So getting Microsoft on there with all of their users, all the information, they got the trifecta of Facebook, Twitter, and Microsoft. What's next for Klout?
Yeah.
And they're going to keep knocking down posts like that. This is huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal, I think, and Google's doing it to a certain extent with Google Plus when they put the author, and maybe authorship has some value. So, you know, if I've got 600,000 followers on Google Plus and I make myself the author and somehow in the HTML tags I put that I'm the author, then you see my photo in search results, more people are going to click on it because they see a photo of a person there to begin with. And maybe they say the person who has 700,000 followers should go, maybe their page, you know, their article on how to make apple pie should be higher than the person with 300,000, should be higher than the person with 3,000. Now, that's just raw follower count. But what Klout's doing is much more important because they're doing how much you're amplified and tweeted. And we had Saka on, and Saka was not a fan of Klout, obviously. He thinks that there's problems with it because it's changing behavior and you have unintended consequences. Like, as I've said, like if you just do like a bunch of quotes from, you know, Teddy Roosevelt, Klout score is going to go up if you just do that every day. But I think that they'll mitigate against that kind of stuff.
And that's the nascent days of Google, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Google changed people's behavior.
Sure.
Hugely, right?
Yeah. People were keyword stuffing. Yeah.
Built around
entire
Google,
industry, SEO
right?
is built around it.
And we talked about that in the early days.
I wonder if there's a Klout SEO industry now.
There will be.
There will be. People like figuring out how to have more
I mean,
Klout.
do you know how big their API is now? How many billions?
Should they put the scores public? Should the scores just not be public? Should they just make it like... Because if you don't have the score to work off of, then you're kind of blindly trying to improve your Klout. But because there's a score, people can debate it and move it up. So in one way, it attracts a lot of attention. But in another way, it's sort of like when people gave a page rank.
It's a hard call, right? Because on one hand, you could say it'd be great to know, the rank of a page. But you don't really see that. You see your page rank. You can go get your page rank, but that's not published in sort of a leader format.
Yeah.
But the reality is people are very different from web pages.
Right.
And that score actually drives engagement.
Yeah, see, what I want to do is I want to just have like a version of Twitter that's people who are like 40 and above. And it just doesn't show people who are under 40 because...
No, it's a great filter.
There's a point at which it's obviously the person is either not active or they're spam, in which case... Like there's such a spam problem on Twitter, it would actually work. I'm not meaning it to be elitist. I'm meaning it to
also your email.
Cut out the noisy people who are obviously fakes. But then what if somebody's new to the system?
But what about Twitter? I mean, not just Twitter, but think about your email.
Yeah.
If you get an email from someone pitching you a company, what if their Klout score for tech or investing is at a certain level that's like it just gets killed?
Yeah.
Right? Or
then you lose serendipity and it becomes like the elite get more elite.
You get an email about fitness, right?
Yeah.
And that person's score is so low that it's just BS.
Yeah. I already do it now. Like I have the Klout toolbar, and when I am doing a search on Twitter for something, like if I'm searching for iPhone 5, just to get opinions, I will look at the Klout score, and if I see something, I don't negate anybody, but if I see somebody's a 60, 70, or 80, I do pay more attention. And then I'll click through and say, who is that person who has an 80? I've never heard of them. Yeah. So it is like a way to sort of highlight. I don't even know what my Klout score is now. I got to check that out and try to work on that. Hey, Kirin, can you put somebody on making my Klout score higher, please? Is there somebody in the organization we can put on that full time? Yeah. I'd like 7 more points.
I got Klout hit really hard last month, actually.
Yeah, that's because you went away for 5 weeks.
No,
that's
not
posting.
Why. No,
that's because you're in love.
This is a tip for everybody
listening. This is it.
listening.
You fall in love and you lose 10 Klout points.
What are you talking about?
Your Klout went up with one person and went down with the rest of the world.
No, on your birthday. This is a tip to everybody out there. Yeah. And I need to talk to Joe about this because my birthday
But you haven't had an insight since 2011. How about you start focusing on an insight?
Here's one right here.
Go ahead.
So on my birthday, a bunch of people are saying happy birthday.
Yep.
And my Klout score at the time was a 74. I'm saying thank you. I'm thumbing up each of their, happy birthdays, happy birthday. I give them a thumbs up. I like their comments. There's like 100 of them. 2 days later, I wake up and it's like 61. Because the part of the action is you're liking something that nobody else likes.
Yep.
And you keep repeatedly doing that 100 times over. It takes a real nosedive on your score. So I want to petition Joe and
Like, here,
everyone
look at
over
mine.
Klout
Here's
to
mine
look
right
into
now.
my case here. So I can
You
get
sure there's
Pull up
nothing
my
else you
computer.
did in your life
No.
that hurt your Klout
No,
score?
nothing else.
So here's something interesting. Somebody put this great quote of Jim Barksdale, former Netscape CEO. He said, if we have data, let's look at data. If we have opinions, let's go with mine. And so I saw somebody had tweeted that, and they had like a zillion retweets. So I was like, I'll do that. And it's like one of my most retweeted ones. And I got like all these amazing people retweeting it. And then I did this thing that I'm doing a Gangnam style parody video with Arrington, Leo Laporte, and Loic, and it's going to blow people's minds. And everybody retweeted that. That was pretty funny. But look at this Bing. Congratulations. Your search volume and Bing, your search volume on Bing has increased over the past 90 days. This is people searching for my name on Bing. That's a really interesting statistic. So people searching for you, who are you? That's pretty cool. And look at Bing. That's not me. That's Wesley Chen. He's got a picture of Wesley Chen there. Come on, Bing. And people who know me, wow. Yeah, Bing, I have to say, Bing is a better search engine than Google. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's that much better, but
They just launched.
it's so competitive with Google. Like, I go on and I'm like, wow, why don't I use this more?
They to that point.
Like, they nail my
Bing's-
result. It's like Wiki. It's my
That's
personal domain, then
Not having your
Wikipedia, then
photo
Twitter.
on that first is not nailing the result. I mean, I'll give Bing credit. They are better than people think they are. And to that end, they're doing their new campaign is a blind search comparison with Google,
Well, there's an idea.
which we
Yeah.
did back in the day, the
Yeah.
early days of Mahalo, actually. But they have a whole video campaign around it where you can go to Bing and do this blind taste test with Google. And they say the result is 2-to-1 that people prefer Bing.
That's interesting. All right, next story. Congratulations to Klout. I think Joe's doing a great job. He's very underrated. And he was good on the show, but I think he's underrated because like he's not like this like out there
He's not trying to
promotion
be,
guy.
right, exactly.
He's not like a very like great speaker at a conference who's gonna tear it up at a conference or something like that. He's like sort of subdued and just focused on the product. So I kind of appreciate that about him. Next story.
All right. Well, I think since we're talking startups, let's talk about Airbnb's latest raise. It looks like they're raising about $100 million. It's been reported, valuation of between $2 and $3 billion. Also been reported that it's a new investor who's leading. Now, they did raise about $100 million at a $1 billion valuation in May of last year with Andreessen Horowitz leading. Now, TechCrunch did a little bit of back-of-the-envelope calculation, and they think the annual revenue is between $168 million and $240 million. So is this reported valuation reasonable, and what's a likely exit for Airbnb?
The problem with Airbnb is I don't know who would actually buy it.
Yeah.
When you build something so unique, it's hard to figure out how that would plug in. So you would think like the hotel industry or like the travel industry, like maybe a kayak or some public company like that. But then you have to say like, well, if they start putting this stuff into the mix, then what happens to the hotel inventory, et cetera? So they're sort of competing with each other. When something's that disruptive, it's hard to figure out where it lands. So I could see like a Yahoo or somebody else having it as a property, even Google or somebody like that having it as a property, or Amazon would be the likely, I guess.
Why
it's
can't they go
commerce.
public?
And I think that's what it means.
I mean, that's the real.
They'll go
path.
public, yeah. I think they're going to be like a large, sustainable business for a long time.
And they'll probably acquire, these other collaborative consumption models, whether it's a ride share or an Uber or something like that.
The thing is, they actually even thought about. I think they actually have some cars in the system they were testing like 2 years ago. They tested it or whatever, but it must not be like that great of a business for them to change their thing. But I mean, it's really interesting. Like people are now furnishing and designing apartments and buying apartments to put them on Airbnb. So this is becoming in the same way you got eBay. In the early days of eBay, they knew that this was going to be big when people started who were unemployed making this their job. And I rented a house up in San Francisco last year before the conference with the launch festival, which is on March
4th, 5th, and 6th, 2013.
4th, 5th, and 6th, 2013. A lot of big notes about that coming up. But anyway, if you look at this Paris Garden Studio here, this room is designed for $113 a night to make for specifically people who for Airbnb. Like they specifically designed this. Like they took the best room in their house and they made it, and so they can make whatever they're making. They're probably making whatever, $3,000 a month off this thing. And eBay was the same thing. People started using eBay to make a living, and that's when you know this could get really big because those people are out there. And as I was saying, when I was up there, somebody owned like 3 houses, and that was their full-time job, was renting out the 3 houses. And the person who was the proprietor was cleaning the houses because they're like, yeah, it's like a maid in this town is going to charge me $200 to clean it. I'm going to lose a night, so I just clean the whole house myself. I like scrub the tubs, I do everything. And this guy was so on it that he was texting me, do you need anything? Do you need anything? And like, what kind of coffee do you like? And what do you use, milk or soy milk? Like, they put Blue Bottle coffee, not at my request, just, in the place. I mean, he was really thinking about every single aspect of it, including like, hey, can we send somebody to pick you up at the airport kind of thing? Like, they really are in competition, so it's a huge business. Have you stayed at Airbnb, or you're just a baller, you're going to hotels?
I've used it, and I put the first offer in to invest in them.
Really?
Yeah, I met them in early 2008, and when they had about 50 transactions. And I worked with Greenberg Traurig, and we worked with them for a while, tried to get them to acquire Couchsurfing, and I put out an offer of basically $200,000 for a post money of two and change. And Tom McInerney was involved in this as well.
Yeah, 6 or 7%.
And I put the offer out, and we shook hands that night. And the next day, they went to YC.
Oh man, crushing.
But yeah, I love the vision. Great guys, great. I mean, it's one of the few teams that you meet, and you're like, these guys have killer product sense.
Yeah. Well, they're also hackers. Like, they figured out some really interesting ways to hack, Craigslist and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty famous now.
Yeah. The Captain knows. Remember the cereal boxes they did?
No, what's a cereal box?
One of their earliest promotions. They worked with the DNC, and I don't know if they worked with the RNC, but they created Obama O's.
Oh, wow.
And McCain Crunch. And they created these cereal boxes that had Obama and McCain. But they always had this history of just doing really interesting, low-cost ways to promote themselves.
Yeah. And like now they've got so much inventory that they do some like tree houses. And look at this, like I got it pulled up here on the screen. You can see it up there.
Wish list now.
And they're doing like tree houses is like one category, and you can like find all the different tree houses. And here's the next listing for tree houses. Like, it's pretty dope. Like, just for browsability, and I guess they send professionals out to shoot, or do people shoot it themselves?
Well, if you look at this, was one of the first companies to really see that great photography, great product.
Yeah.
Could really increase the value of the inventory, right? They could put crappy pictures of homes up there. They could have had nasty pictures, just average pictures. They really spent a lot of time making sure that you had the right visuals.
Listen, I want to do this. I'm going to take my daughter and my wife out to one of these tree houses. This is pretty cool. I love the idea.
Jason, the other bit of news about Airbnb, it was Liz Gaines' story that they now get 26% of all their traffic from mobile. So that includes apps and mobile web browsing. That was up from like 12% a year ago.
Look at this tree house in Atlanta. Wow. That's just more like a house amongst trees. It's not really a tree house as such. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm constantly using like Realtor. Like, one of these things I do is if I'm curious about like the value of houses around me, I just pull out my iPhone, I click on Realtor, or I click on Trulia or one of those apps. And I just flip through like what's within 1 mile of this place. Like when I'm in San Francisco, I'm like, I wonder what these houses cost. Boom, boom, and I got all the listings like right around me. It's really fascinating. It's so obvious. That one? This one is in, Costa Rica. Look at that.
I think I know that.
So it's kind of a kick in the nuts every time I realized this was my first term sheet.
Wow.
And they went to YC, and no one knew me, right?
What's the lesson there? You have to close quicker. You gotta.
No,
well, you do what you could. What more can you do than shaking hands?
I had just come back from Africa. I was working my whole military stuff. So I was nothing. I was a dude with money.
Ah, right. So you had to build a little reputation.
You weren't even talking to me. That's when you wouldn't return my emails.
I eventually returned. That's why I have Tyler. Tyler sussed you out.
Tyler wouldn't return my emails.
No, Tyler did. Tyler sussed you out, and then Tyler was like, "This guy seems like it's a real deal." I was like, "Yeah, I'll wait."
Tyler's bottom feeding. He's like, "Okay, I'll move this guy up one level."
That's what Tyler's my filter. What do you want to do? Like, that's my LA filter. No, seriously, like so many people from LA. I'll tell you what the thing is about the LA scene. It's like people think that like, oh, I'm in LA, therefore I have to meet with Jason, or therefore I have to meet with Mark Susan because we're in LA, and there's no filter other than LA. So like, if you get an email from somebody like, hey, we're both in LA and we're both in the internet business, it's like that doesn't mean we have to have lunch. Like, and then people ask you to have lunch, and it's impossible. It would be like if there was some way for me to put a score on your. Like as an angel investor, as a person, like if there was a score and I saw you were a 72, then I would have had lunch with you.
Like Klout.
Oh, snap. Next story.
All right, so let's talk about
See what we're doing there? We got the show and the rhythm.
MySpace's redesign, talking about LA companies. So
Next story.
Which company is that?
You don't want to talk about MySpace?
There's a good point in this one.
All right, fine.
Who's actually going to go to MySpace?
All right, no, do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's the point.
Okay,
Do you
let's-
like
This is
13-year-old
the reinvented as the social network.
Hold on a second. I just want to start. Look, I just typed in MySpace. HTTP 1.1 service not available. Did I spell it wrong? Or did they? Oh my God! If they don't know how to redirect without the dub, that would be so classic. Oh my God, that's what it is. These guys are idiots. Look at this. If you type in myspace.com. Oh no, that one redirected. Okay, so there must have been something wrong with their DNS temporarily. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, so the social network for creatives to connect
This is
with their
Justin Timberlake's
fans.
social network, right?
Right,
Yeah, go
and
Justin.
we all know that News Corp, which paid $580 million, sold it to Specific Media for about $35 million last June.
Mm-hmm.
One of those owners includes Justin Timberlake. The Verge said it looks like a cross between Pinterest large photo
Kill
panels
yourself.
and the tablet version of Google+.
Kill yourself.
And one of the interesting things they're doing is that artists will be able to promote their top fans. So I guess, what are the chances that MySpace can actually reinvent itself here? And does
0.0.
JT's involvement make it more appealing?
It makes it worse. It makes it worse. Honestly, I'm telling you, Justin Timberlake's involvement makes it worse. And I'll tell you why, right as I figure it out. No, the problem is you can't restart a dead brand like this. It just generally doesn't work unless there was some loyal fan base. So we talked about Apple before.
Right.
At least Apple, all that, had this core base of people who loved it. Who's the core base who loves it? Everybody
Here's
keeps
the thing. Well,
and
you jumped over something. But before the show started, we touched on this briefly, which was
It better be an insight if you're interrupting me.
No, which tech companies
Yes.
in the history of tech were able to have some kind of dominant position like MySpace had, disappear,
Uh-huh.
and then come back. And Apple really stands out as the only one that ever did that.
Well, and Apple was never at the level of a MySpace.
It pretty much was.
It wasn't a dominant player in the PC industry.
No, but it did make the most innovative products of its time. It did have large sales. I mean, anyway, putting aside the analogies of the past, because sometimes they're not comparable. It does look like they did hire somebody with good design sense to do this, and yes, it is a Pinterest knockoff or whatever, or Windows 8. But social networks, you cannot go backwards on social networks. Once they die, people don't want to go backwards, and even Facebook is having this issue, and Facebook is not dead. And they have people who, if you talk to anybody who's under a certain age, they just shake their head when you say Facebook. It looks like they just, took a bite of a lemon or a pepper. They're like, oh, Facebook? Like I use Instagram, or which of course is Facebook now, but they just don't like it. And so there's no way for it to work. And then Justin Timberlake being involved in it, Leonardo DiCaprio being involved with Karma, it's almost like a desperation Hail Mary now. Like, our service is so effed. We're just going to get Leo to talk about Fisker Karma, really? Like, you have to rise and fall based on the reputation of your product and its utility in the world, not, ripping off Pinterest design or having Justin Timberlake involved. That's usually like a desperation play. It's one thing if you have something subtle, like Uber has Ed Norton as an investor, right? It's not like Ed Norton is like the first thing out of Travis Kalanick's mouth. It's like, yeah, you may see a picture once in a while of Ed Norton using it on his Twitter account, but that's it. It's not like the first thing people say. And when management, the first thing they say is, we have Justin Timberlake, the first thing I say is, you have nothing else. When Fisker's saying like, oh yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is, investing, it's like, oh, then the car must suck, right? Like, they need to do that to get some attention around the product. It's not like those people are just investing like Ashton just invests in something.
Sure, celebrities don't want their brands to be damaged though either. I mean, we all remember Whoopi Goldberg and Flues.
Right.
So, why would
She was
Leonardo...
like, what's a Flues or something? She didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, Leonardo getting involved with Fisker, I mean, what
Well,
does
he's a
that
big
actually...
green guy, so
Right.
it should make sense. But you know what? I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in that. What do you think of MySpace and the whole thing?
Which company?
Yes, exactly. That's why I sent next story. Listen, it looks decent, but
No
I don't
way.
know. Yeah, no way.
I would bet one testicle.
One full testicle.
One full testicle.
Okay, go ahead.
It
Let me
never
hear
goes
us bet.
anywhere. If you will bet another testicle, that it will go somewhere. Or an ear. You can go to Van Gogh.
Wow. Ear for a testicle?
Yeah.
This is the kind of bets that like.
I only need one.
This is
I
what
really don't need
these
two.
military contractors like to bet. I'll cut off my ear if we don't take that hill.
Pinky
Next
bet.
story.
Yeah.
Well, we talking about cutting off an Al Qaeda guy's ear? Because
No.
I have 6 Al Qaeda ears in my
Pinky
drawer
bets.
upstairs. I'll
Pinky
give
bets.
Where's my bayonet? I didn't get my bayonet in here.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
next one.
talking about violence, let's talk Angry Birds follow-up.
By the way,
Piggies.
just talking about violence, I saw the film Judge Dredd. Did anybody see the Dredd film?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
Wait,
I
is
would so go see it
is
again.
Dredd or Judge Dredd?
It's just Dredd.
Yeah, because they hate. Remember, Judge Dredd came out.
Yeah.
I met a guy who was being paid on SEO to make sure that Judge Dredd was not talked about
Oh, okay.
because it was such a bomb. That last, do you remember the
Yeah.
bomb?
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. But anyway, this film is so awesome in a dark science fiction way. I cannot give it like a higher like recommendation.
Should I bring my 8-year-old niece?
No, it is
She
so
loves twisted
violent,
stuff.
and it's like
Oh.
it's got like sexual violence, it's got drug violence, it's got people being thrown off 200-story building violence, it's got violence, like, but it's also really well done and like very dystopian. Here's the trailer. I'll pull it up here for a second. It is so good. And like I was in San Francisco over the weekend, and the baby went to bed, and my wife's asleep, and like everybody's like getting ready to wind down, and I'm like, baby, I've been sort of cooped in this hotel room. Can I go to the movies at the Metreon? She's like, it's Sunday night. You want to go to the Metreon alone? And I was like, yeah, I'll go see whatever's there. And she's like, you don't know what you're going to see? I'm like, yeah, I'll either see Resident Evil 6 or Dread, because I'm such a sci-fi guy that I'll see any sci-fi movie. It's so awesome. Like
So
it's
you just admitted to leaving your wife at home so you could go watch a movie by yourself
But
and geek
this
out.
is the thing. When they're asleep, and like you're like me and you stay up till 2 a.m, like, but it's like, look at Judge Dredd. There he is. And that's the dystopian future. So it's like there's one giant city from Boston to D.C., and it's all cordoned off, and they just have these like 200-story buildings, and then the remnants of the rest of the city between them. And there's like the one on the left is the new judge, the one on the right is the judge, and they basically go to this tower, which is run by a female drug lord who has this new drug, which is called Slow, that makes the world go at 1/200th the speed. So 1 second takes 200 seconds, and then like she like skins these guys and gives them she gives them the drug, and she skins them alive and throws them off the 200-story building. So for every second they're being skinned, it's 200 seconds of being skinned, and then for every 10-second fall, it's a 2,000-second fall. And they do that stylistically in the film to great...
You could use that in the bedroom.
it was... next story.
Yeah, so back to Bad Piggies, slightly more PG form of violence. This is the follow-up to Angry Birds. This is the first time that Rovio is releasing a Angry Birds spin-off. They actually hit the top spot in the U.S. App Store in 3 hours after it was released on Thursday. Angry Birds Space hit 10 million downloads in 10 days, 50 million in 35 days. Bad Piggies is, you're trying to actually get the pigs to the finish line using contraptions that you build with fans and wheels and all this kind of fun stuff. So it's a physics game.
Well, there's
of.
physics games. Yeah, it is a physics game, but it's a physics build something game, which is like sort of like more like Where's My Water? So like Angry Birds would just throw something, you had the inertia. This is like build a little car for the pigs to, there's the car going around.
Like a Rube Goldberg.
I don't know what that is.
Remember the contraptions would be like a pulley.
Yeah,
hammer,
exactly.
and a
So
mousetrap.
here you can see it. Like, so the pig, like you can put the umbrellas on the top, which makes you float. You can put the propeller, and you have to put the pig in the box. So the idea here is, how the pigs have the eggs? Now you have to build here they are building it. That's them building the contraptions. So you build these crazy contraptions, a lot of fun, and then you send the pigs over to go get the eggs. They steal the eggs. Right? Is that the theme? Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of fun.
So you get 60 levels for just 99 cents, $4.99 if you buy the HD version. So what could Zynga learn from Rovio?
Well, originality. I mean, that would be the obvious answer. Like, they came up with a very original concept. It took them, 50 times. But they came up with an original concept. And, they're not dependent just on this. When I went to go see Dredd at the Metreon, I go to the candy counter, and, I got this new diet plan I'm working on, and I was like, I really want sugar, but I'm not going to get sugar because when you take sugar, it spikes your insulin. You get to hear all these conversations with me upstairs.
Did you see the being fat sucks thing about going to the movies? How much you will ingest calorie-wise with movie popcorn?
Oh, God, that's just crazy. No, I haven't seen that on Being Fat Sucks. But thank you for the plug. So anyway, I go over and I see they have Angry Birds sour, candies. If you think about it, that's what creativity does for you. So in the critique of, Zynga, because Farmville was sort of knocked off, or the mafia stuff or the poker stuff. None of that's original, and I'm not saying there's any problem with making a genre title, right? Like, there's sci-fi genres, and people follow them, space opera, whatever, more mysteries. But if you do create something wholly original, the chances are are a magnitude harder to succeed. But if you do, it's very protectable intellectual property. So like Where's My Water tried to copy Angry Birds or whatever, but nobody cares about Where's My Water. Like, that's not going to become a candy. But Angry Birds, like, you go to the playground and half the kids have Disney Princess, which is another incredible marketing genius thing, where they take every princess from every Disney film and they make them one product. So it's like the super friends of Disney princesses, like Princess Jasmine, Rapunzel, Ariel, Belle. They're all one unit of superheroes. Did you have Disney Princess when you were a kid?
I did not, but I have seen the phenomenon.
It is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Because you're getting like 10 of them. And
plus, it
but then you
mitigates
see
that whole it's only about white girls thing because they.
No. There's a brown girl.
Exactly. There's some brown. There's an Asian girl. There's Mulan in there.
There's two brown.
Mulan.
Yeah. No, you have Princess Jasmine, who is my daughter's favorite, by the way, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, you have one. No, who's the other? There is one who's black, I think. Yeah. There's definitely one that's Indian. Definitely, I don't know if there's an Asian one yet. But anyway, that's from Aladdin.
Yeah.
Princess Jasmine.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Anyway, my point was, you see the pigs everywhere at playgrounds. And my daughter knew Angry Birds before she had ever seen the game. She just knew it was Angry Birds. Somebody gave her, she saw stuffed animals. Now she has stuffed animals of Angry Birds. My daughter's introduction to Angry Birds was physical Angry Birds, not the game. So now this has become a franchise that will be here for, I think, decades. It's basically they created Bugs Bunny. So if you think about it, we may look historically at Angry Birds and say, oh, they made $500 million on the game because they've sold 700 million copies or something, or 1 billion copies, I think. You can look it up. But I think it's like 1 billion. Anyway, if they sold 1 billion copies of this game or whatever, had 1 billion downloads, that means they only made $700 million. It's not a ton of money. I mean, it's a massive profit, but it's not, multi-billion dollar, thing. It's still very impressive, not taking away. But they may make more money off the TV series and the movies and the licensing.
All the licensing.
And the theme park.
The theme park. Disney has tried to buy this company 10 times, I guarantee you. Is there any on record about Disney trying to buy it? This is Disney's #1 acquisition right now. That's why they created Where's My Water, is to make the acquisition talks reasonable with them. Because they're saying, hey, we're going to make our own games. And I don't know why they're charging for their games. They should have made Where's My Water for free, Disney, instead of paid, and just, build it to have that stupid alligator character in the theme parks. And they should make a Where's My Water theme park from it. And that would really screw with...
It was actually a good game, though.
Where's My Water?
Yeah, I played...
it's fun, yeah.
I played on the way to Bloomington.
Yeah. I mean, just think about the collective hours being wasted on these puzzle games. Or is it wasted? Maybe it keeps us all from getting Alzheimer's.
It's like exercise.
Yeah, I mean, we had this discussion on Launch Ticker, like, is this a scam, this, what's the one that's
Lumosity.
Lumosity, right.
Yep.
And I was like, is this Lumosity a scam or not? And I started playing, and I was like, it kind of feels like a scam. And then it turns out the brain science research says if you have, these are like brain improvement games. The brain improvement games actually help people. There is early indications it does help people with Alzheimer's. But those are people who are asleep all day watching Family Feud or, whatever, drinking soup, through a straw or something. It's not like they're active people in the workplace. I don't think those brain things do anything for you.
I mean, I've always played games.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it increases your IQ or is it applicable.
I think it does.
You do? Hand-eye coordination, yes. I'm talking about intelligence.
I think intelligence, it does.
Really?
Creativity, intelligence.
Creativity, maybe.
Yeah.
But raw intelligence?
Well, it depends what's raw intelligence. Is that
true.
your baseline? Is that what you're starting with?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, I don't think there's a major downside to it, but just think about, if everybody on the planet solves 1,000, Angry Birds levels, what does that mean for society? Again, we got to keep people busy anyway, because if they're not busy, then they become terrorists.
It's either Angry Birds.
That's what we've learned.
It's either Angry Birds or Big Macs.
That's a good point. Why don't they have a physical Angry Birds?
Oh, there is.
At Google Santa Monica.
There is physical Angry Birds. You can sling people. Yeah.
No, I think at the theme parks they should make physical Angry Birds and charge people like $1 to, you know, do like the 3 birds per $1 per level. That would be the ultimate. That's what Angry Birds should do. I swear to God, if Angry Birds is listening, I actually know some folks over at Rovio. Somebody when the Jason Nation cut this clip and say a message to the people at Angry Birds. You need to start a theme park, and the theme park is like a miniature golf kind of thing. 50 levels of the game taken from the game where you actually physically play the game, and it's $1 per level, so it's $50 to go. You do it, and you get a score. It would take over golf courses.
You could take
if
over
you
that
took
TV
the
show.
golf courses in this goddamn country, waste of space, and you made them into an 18-hole Angry Birds, that would be packed with people, and more people would use it than the stupid golf courses. People knocking around a little grape-sized ball.
You're not looking for any
What
golf
about that
sponsors?
NBC show?
What's that?
You're not looking for any golf sponsors for the show?
No, who cares? Golf is so stupid. Like, I'm looking at people, oh, you play golf? I'm like, really? Who's playing golf? Like, what year is it? Like, I'm going to go out with you for 8 hours. You have stuff I have to do. I have the companies, angel investing, a daughter, a wife, poker. Who goes and plays 8 hours of golf?
You play
3
8 hours
times a week.
You play 8 hours of poker at a time?
Look who you. Sound like my wife.
Busted.
Zip it over there. Next story.
That's why you put me in the corner so I don't bust your
Right.
balls over there.
Exactly. And if you say ball busting again, I'm going to make that an officially part of the charge. You put $10 in, Kirin. Okay, next story.
I should get a junior
Last story.
discount. All right, so we got to talk about Marissa because we talk about Marissa a lot. But
Every week, it's the Marissa show.
we got to have a little Marissa in there. So we all know she has a new CFO this week. She booted the old guy, Tim Morris, who was known for cost cutting, brought a new guy named Ken Goldman from a company called Fortinet, doing computer security work. And we also know she had this all hands meeting where, of course, various bits of the strategy leaked out. She wants Yahoo to excel at personalization, to lead in mobile, more resources for the product folks and so forth. And then, of course, Kara must have the most amazing sources within Yahoo, and she got a copy of this strategy report that they did last year, and sounds a lot like what Marissa was talking about this week. So I guess the question is, how would you grade Marissa now? And, do you think that she's actually on the right track?
She's getting great talent into the company, right? And it's young. I don't want to be ageist, but does seem to be trending towards younger internet native. Let's just say internet native. And so if you're internet native, you're probably 30 to 40. You've been working in the industry for 10, 20 years. So who was that? Was it Kathy was the woman from that scammy?
Kathy Savitt from Lockers.
What was that company?
Lockers.
Yeah, Lockers felt like a little bit spammy company, but I mean, it's spammy in like a marketing, like genius kind of way.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to, sorry, Kathy, I'm not saying you're a spammer, but Lockers is always like, I just associate Lockers with like a little bit of like a multi-level spammy kind of thing. Anyway, this seems like, she's pulling together a pretty solid team, and some people, I guess the real question is, can anybody save it? And that's
Ohm did say this week that the rot is so deep that you can't save it.
Yeah, that I thought Ohm was right with that. Is, I don't necessarily agree with him, but boy, is she giving it her all, because it's nonstop. And even if she just makes it stable, then all it takes is one great acquisition, like a YouTube did to Google, one great acquisition, or Android did to Google. Right, there were 2 great ones there, or one great product like Xbox is to Microsoft. That's all it takes. So really, when you think about it, you have to build a foundation, and the foundation is sustainable business that's not deteriorating, with a great team and with the ability to buy stuff, right? She's done that, and she's got hope there now, so good people will join. All she has to do is stay the course, and an opportunity will happen. That's why getting in the game is so important. Once you're in the game, good things can happen, and she's in the game, she got stability. I've been through this. Like after Panda Update, I had to get Mahalo like the right team organized, and then all this, and building the right products. Hope is back, and then we had like 2 or 3 deals drop that were really material deals, including the YouTube deal that stabilized and pushed the company forward in this new direction. That's what she's done, and that's amazing that she's done it so quick. But boy, the media is going to be all over her if there's like one bump in the road. You watch, just like they're all over Apple right now with the stupid Maps thing. One person leaves, one mistake, it's going to be insane.
So how would you grade her?
I'm still A+. I mean,
still A. Okay.
if you're getting qualified people to come on as CFO, CMO, and the troops are happy and people want to work there again, that means people will want to sell their companies to her, you know? And there are great companies out there. Listen, if previously Yahoo came to me and was like, hey, we want to buy Mahalo, we want more apps, we want more video, we want to buy This Weekend, we believe in this stuff, I would have been like, Yahoo, it's kind of like defeat to sell your company to Yahoo, right? Be like, kind of like, you know, like it's not the top of your list. Like you'd rather have somebody bigger buy, new Disney, News Corp bought, whatever, you know? Now it's like, if Marissa called and was like, hey, you know, we're interested in this, or we're doing video and apps, can we talk about something? I'd be like, yeah, happy to take the meeting. Like it's like a fresh new company, you know? She's really shined it up a lot, that it feels like hope.
Sure. I mean, working for a company is different than having that company acquire your company.
No, it's not.
No?
Because as an entrepreneur, who you sell your company to, like when I sold Weblogs Inc. to AOL, people were like, oh, you sold it to a company, that's a disaster, you know? Like, it wasn't like as prestigious as selling it to Google, selling it to AOL. I mean, we did because they would pay a magnitude more than other companies because they needed us. So sometimes the economics, who needs you, they'll pay more. But also as an entrepreneur, you have a little ego about it. Like you want to sell to a winner. So like Facebook was never going to sell to Yahoo. Zuckerberg was like, I'm selling to this wounded company? No way. But selling to a company that's growing and better, like, yeah. I think great entrepreneurs really care about who they sell to. I don't know, what do you think about Yahoo so far?
do we play, which should Yahoo acquire?
We did that already. You were on vacation.
Oh, I was? Okay.
I think the
was
problem...
it Pinterest?
That was up there.
I think your example of, Google and Android and YouTube,
yeah,
Google was doing extremely well.
Yep.
And the problem with the sales, when you say sell, what does sell usually mean? Sell usually means cash plus stock, right?
Right.
And me as an investor, when my company's selling to Yahoo, I'd really worry about taking Yahoo stock.
Mm-hmm.
So if they
smaller percentage of stock.
If they buy a good company, they're gonna have to buy it for cash.
Yeah.
And I think they put their cash out as a dividend, is what they're gonna do.
They put out 80% of it, I think. They kept $650. What was it, Kirin? Something like that.
$650 they kept.
So if you want to buy a proven winner, most of these dealers are gonna have to be probably 70-80% stock.
Depends. I mean, I think they could raise cash. Yeah, maybe they get a loan.
I know, but I just feel like if you're a good company, whether you're the founder or the investor,
it does make it hard. You're right. Yeah,
Yahoo
people are going to take. People are more than happy to take Amazon or Google stock.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
And I would rather take Constant Contact stock.
What about Facebook stock? At this point.
At this point,
you want cash?
I want cash.
Wow, that's a big statement coming from Paige Craig. Paige Craig says, "I wouldn't take the Facebook stock. I want cash."
I would take Airbnb stock still.
You would take Airbnb over Facebook?
Yeah.
Me too.
A lot more growth.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook do you think Facebook's going to come crashing down when this lockup period ends? There's 2 lockup dates coming, October, November?
I don't think that company can come crashing down.
Right.
With the Airbnb, is the smarter play to short the hotel stocks, though?
No. I think there's some people who are just never going to stay business travelers are never going to do Airbnb. Or majority are not going to do it. Companies are not going to do it. It's just a little bit too on the fringe. Maybe small companies like startups would do it. Actually, take it back. I'm wrong. Startup companies will do it because I have heard of people saying, like, they'll do it under special circumstances. So they'll stay at a hotel if there's a $200 a night hotel, $300 a night hotel. When the city's booked up and they don't have an option, so for example, if New York gets to $500 or $600 during Fashion Week or these other things, I would actually look at an Airbnb. But I'm not going to Airbnb other than that. It's creepy to be in somebody's house.
The boutique hotels are the ones that really get crushed out of it then.
I just think it's like, for a certain segment of the population, they don't want to stay in somebody else's house. It's a little creepy. It's easier to just know you're getting off the plane. I can get room service. I'm going to be in a clean room. I don't have to worry about it. What if the person's not there? What if they change their mind? What if it's a dive? They want consistency. And it's not material to save $50 on a trip per night for a business traveler. But when it becomes material and the city is overwhelmed because of the DNC or because of the playoff game or whatever it is, that's when people start considering it. That's when that contingent starts to,
Yeah, but you brought Airbnb is not about price anymore. You go look at New York and you're going to pay anywhere from $10,000 a night to $100,000. Like you can get stuff that no hotel will ever have. You can get French villas.
True.
You can get yachts in Dubrovnik. It's amazing.
Speaking as somebody who. Did you use it on your trip?
We used it twice. We used it once in Berlin before we went to the Soho, and we used it for a really cool village cabin out in Croatia.
And what was your experience? How would you rate your experience?
Excellent. So the people who run their Airbnb homes or places, like you said, they care more than most hotels. And we stayed at the Carlton in Cannes, right? And the experience is whatever. It's an old hotel. It's beautiful. It's the most famous hotel. But those people didn't care about their hotel as much as the folks that own their house in Croatia.
These people are dopes. 2-bedroom apartment, West End and 63rd Street with a doorman, $5,500 per night. Are you on crack?
Look at that, 10 grand, right? Told you.
Yeah, what is that 10 grand place? Upper West Side duplex family home. Are these people crazy? Who is this guy? Rich. Look at Rich with his dog. Are you out of your skull? I mean, that place doesn't even look that great. Look at that. He's kind of like the cheapest stove I've ever seen. I mean, if I'm paying $10,000 a night, can I get a Viking stove? Give me a break. See, there's some dopey people in the system who don't understand what they're... $3,000 a night. Lounge bar venue, 50+ various uses. That's cool. Carroll Gardens duplex.
You can get yachts.
2-bedroom apartment in Williamsburg for $3,000? Hey, what are these people thinking? They have, and they're probably going to have no reviews. See, the other thing you can look at is how recommended they are.
And their Klout score.
It does have their Klout score?
No, but soon.
But like this person has 43 reviews and they're a super host. Yeah, this is my point. That's not where I'm staying. The living room is decorated in nice colors. $300 a night for that. Really? Really with those pillows? Give me a break. Yeah, I really want to stay in a place with the Poland Spring up here and look at they got the Poland Spring and the stuffed animals here. As a bulldog stuffed animal, maybe I reconsider. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. Oh wow, look, it comes with an iron. Look at this place. It's a dump. I'm not staying at Lolita and Drew's house. Sorry, that's just not cool for $300 a night. Lotta and Drew. No. All right, next story.
Where they live?
I don't know.
Right,
how long is the show? Hour and 20 minutes. We got to get out of here.
All right, last
speed
one.
round,
We're going to talk about Facebook launching gifts. So now you'll actually be able to buy a real-world physical gift within Facebook and give it to your friends.
Smart.
It's going to be tied also to significant event reminders, like telling you it's somebody's birthday that Facebook is already showing you, and you can gift. You can give somebody a gift directly by using the gift button. Now, this is all because, of course, Facebook acquired Karma back in May, so it's not unsurprising that they're doing this.
And are the gifts based on the person's interests?
Well, they have 100 retailers that they've partnered with. The biggest one, probably most interestingly, being Starbucks. There's things in food and kids and fashion and home categories and things like that. So I guess my
ice
question
cream
is...
sandwiches, Angry Birds.
Right. So where could this go wrong? And should Amazon be concerned? I mean, it sounds great.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
You don't think people will give each other gifts, real-world gifts through Facebook?
Some people might, but it's just like...
Super easy. You're already in Facebook anyway.
I guess so. Yeah. I just don't go there to buy gifts, but maybe...
No, but
I might do it...
How often do you say happy birthday to people on their birthdays?
I do, yes. And I guess you go...
What, like daily?
It is... No, I don't.
I do almost daily.
That's because you don't have a job.
It takes 2 seconds to say happy birthday to somebody.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Really? Paige says happy birthday to me. I say happy birthday to him.
I don't care about your birthday.
I have an app that does.
I don't care about
You
any of his
don't? I
birthday.
didn't get Jack Diddle from
I know,
Jake Alvin.
but I do know it's September 6th or 5th.
3rd, yeah.
3rd, whatever. I know it's the first week in September. Anyway, listen. I don't know that... How do they have the range of gifts? It's like, this almost reminds me like a mall catalog
They
or Sharper
should
Image.
do gift recommendations based on
All right.
the person's interest.
Well, and
I guess it depends on how easy it is. Because if I have to then put in my
One
credit
click.
card...
once you put it in, it's like, an Apple kind of situation or an Amazon situation. They have your credit card number.
maybe.
You can do it every
Like Jason
time
would
without
like
an
this
issue.
Bulldog poker chip set. Boom, one click.
I guess so. I guess it depends on how blown out the gifts are and how awesome they are.
Well,
so
and people can change them also. So if you order something for somebody and they actually want it in a different color, they can change it before it even ships. That's also what I read.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And if I could just click and say, give me the damn money,
Then they start doing it for weddings.
then I would be regifting. What if I could regift without you shipping it to me? Yeah, I'm looking at it though. Like, look at it's like, this Grady's cold brew coffee, award-winning coffee, is something from New York Math, one of my investments. So I click here, give her a gift, Natalie, on her birthday, and or I click gift from there. It gives me some likely gifts, babies and kids or whatever. I pick which one, and then that's it. And share it on their. Oh, I see. So you can share it on their
On the
thing.
timeline.
Yeah, I guess I could see this working, and then they get an alert on their thing. Congratulations! Here's your gift. Yeah. Oh, wow, and they have the addresses there already. I guess it may be.
Why wouldn't this be? Listen to a year ago, you go back and you look at all the hype around $1 virtual gifts, right?
That never worked. It didn't work. It was like $50 million in revenue. it didn't add up to anything. But I guess what probably happened was they saw that with those things, people really love them, so they figured that it's going to work now. I don't know.
I think the novelty wore off on virtual gifts.
Well, certainly, and I wonder if it's going to wear off on this because.
Well, these are real gifts, but you said at first you don't go to Facebook to shop.
Yeah.
The experience is not designed to help you shop. I mean, I'm not going to go to Whole Foods to buy an appliance, even though I love Whole Foods. It's not designed for electronics or appliances.
Right. Even if they decide they can have an appliance row.
Doesn't matter. And Facebook is not going to change its social. And this is some dude that has to increase revenue by a point or something.
Yeah.
He's like, let's sell shit.
How could this ever be material? Well, let's say they have 500 million active users, and let's say 1%. We'll just do the math here. And did we do this math in the launch ticker or no?
No.
Always take a stab at math when you can. We have a big story. So 500 million active users every month, close to a billion on the planet. Let's just say of those 500 million, 1% decide to do this every...
That's a huge number. 1%
every year.
It's still big. I'd say 1% is a huge number.
It is. I'm saying, but every year.
And it's rolling out in the U.S. first, so it's not...
All right, but anyway, I'm just saying ultimately, if 1% of the people use it a year, that's 10 million people. If 10 million people use it a year...
For an average 30.
For an average of $30, it's $3 billion. No, it's $300 million. How is that material? No, 1 million people would be 30. Yeah, that's right. It's 300 million. So if 1% of the billion people use it, it's worth 300 million. Now, if they each use it 10 times, it's worth 3 billion, and maybe it becomes material then.
But if it's 0.1%, it's 30 million.
Well, then, yeah, wait a second. What's their margin on the $30? Let's say they have a 10% margin. It's $3. It's $30 million in,
but what if
in
people
earnings.
are putting the goods in that thing for marketing purposes?
Oh, giving them for free? I mean, I'm sure these are high profit margin things. So let's give them 30% margin.
But now let's think of the reverse. What if that shopping experience leads to lower engagement because people are annoyed by products and they start to engage less because it's like I have an obligation?
No, but who could be?
I was about, how do you get annoyed by a real product?
No, he's saying the obligation thing. Like everybody gave you a gift on September.
Right. It's like now not only do you have to wish you happy birthday, you have to buy you something.
So now everybody's got to give Tyler on the 3rd.
And we stopped going there. We stopped going to that place where I have to give because that dude shows up and he wants $10 when you walk in. It's
how does it become material is what I'm getting at. So if 10% of people, all right, let's do the math. If let's say 10% of the people do it. There's 100 million people use this a year. And they sell something for $30. That's $3 billion in revenue. Let's say they get 10% of that. That's $300 million in profit. That's nothing. Yeah. It's so immaterial.
So who's to say it stops at gifts? Why couldn't you, if you're on there, you could still buy something for yourself. Your credit card's already in there. You see something, you're like, actually, I'll send it to myself. I gifted something to myself today.
Yeah, but then they don't.
They can see.
I'm not going shopping on Facebook. I'm going shopping on Amazon where I know how to use the reviews.
But hang on.
And I know how to.
Hang on.
I trust them with the shipping. I got my Prime account. They're not going to pull me out of Amazon.
Facebook knows 3 months in advance when you're going to break up with your relationship. And they could preemptively say you should be buying flowers.
How'd that work for you?
What are you talking about?
Anyway.
They could preemptively say you should be buying flowers right now.
Right, like Target knows when
based
women
on
are
your
pregnant
chat,
and
what
about
you're
to have
saying
babies.
in your chat.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I know all those like statistics in a vacuum. Like that's the thing about like when you're analyzing this stuff. It's like statistics in a vacuum. Then you actually put pen to paper and you do an actual calculation, and you realize that this is completely immaterial to their big business, and there is the risk of it being annoying. But I think that's a small risk. But I don't see how this becomes material, and I don't see them. I mean, and then you have like Fab or something like. Do they buy Fab and then your Fab starts showing up in your feed? And then that's not why half the people signed up for Facebook. They signed in to get pictures of their kids. And so now my mom's like, I don't care about Fab. Like if you love Fab and you're going there every day, it's not annoying. But if Fab starts to come to your feed where my mom's looking for her granddaughter or grandkids, that becomes annoying to my mom. And she's like, I don't want to be on Facebook. It's a catalog.
But Facebook
it can be only one thing to people.
Yes. But however, Facebook, to their credit, has been really good about filtering out things that would potentially annoy you.
Maybe
Amazon is more than one thing to you, Jason, isn't it? It's media, it's shopping.
Well, but shopping for media, so I buy a DVD or I buy the film. It's all sort of the same thing.
Goods or
to me.
digital goods.
And like EC2 is like a separate company. I don't even consider it the same company, So I don't know. It's 99% shopping to me. And like, so what is Amazon VOD? It's like, it's still shopping to me. I'm still buying a movie, right? Yeah. And like their search engine means nothing to me. They have A9 in the search engine.
And the fact that they make a Kindle tablet?
Not really, no. I consider that like a consumption device for their media. And I'm not like a big book reader. I'm an audiobook person, so I don't care.
but they make hardware. How can that fit with
I think they
everything
make the
else?
hardware just at a margin just to get you to buy more stuff. So I don't see how this is material. I guess what was your question?
So where does this go wrong, and should Amazon be concerned?
Amazon has nothing to be concerned with. Nothing. I mean, Facebook should be as concerned about Amazon's social network as Amazon is concerned about this. And I just did the math on this. There's no way it's material, and there's no way it's ever material.
So why do it? Because they have enough smart people there. They can do calculations
I
too.
just think they want to stay in the press and have interesting things come out, like features. And I think that they, you want to keep it fresh and new for people. So that you have to put something new in that feed, right? So they're just going to constantly try questions. So they just try. I mean, listen, it could become a total cultural phenomenon, and everybody uses it 10 times a year.
And how much are you willing to bet on that right now?
Oh, well, you want to bet? I don't think you should be gambling.
I'm not gambling.
I'm not. It's not going to be a testicle bet if that's what you're asking, but it could be a hundo bet. I'll bet sushi lunch. You want to bet sushi lunch with me? That could cost you $200.
Well, you would be unfair if you made me pay for lunch. You know that.
Not a bet. How about a 2-to-1 bet then? 2 lunches to 1 lunch. I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. 2 lunches for 1 lunch.
So you don't think it'll become a big deal, and I do.
And then what? How do you quantify? How do you quantify a big deal?
How do you quantify a big deal? That you actually buy a gift on Facebook yourself?
No, I'll definitely play with it. That's not a
Let's say it brings
It's
over
the
over $100 million a year in revenue.
$100 million in year revenue.
Over 100.
Well, I already calculate. Yeah, but I'll do the $100 million. $100 million a year from now.
A year from now? Okay.
Okay, so 2-to-1. And the $100 lunches.
Okay.
Capped at 100. So I have $200 lunches, 100.
All right.
From this date, somebody put it in the bet. This is the next thing. Let's get a bet jar. This is good. We can get a bet jar going. I want a bet jar on the set.
100 gross or
and
net?
then somebody's got to write the bet on a piece of paper. We'll put it in there. So put the bet in here from the swear jar for now.
Is that the gross or the net?
Gross.
Okay.
Gross, $100 million in gifts. So if a year from today, it does
September
$100 million, then I
28th.
owe you 2 lunches and you owe me 1 lunch.
2013.
2013. All right. Listen, it's been a great episode. Apologies to James Altucher for not being able to get on the program. We had a problem with our soundboard here. But thank you at Sourcebits for producing great apps and helping my audience out. A lot of my audience is working with them, and that's just great to hear. Thank you at Sourcebits. Thank you at Squarespace. And Paige Craig, thanks for your honesty about Betterworks and pulling the ripcord and what it's like to have bullets. I got to tell you, the first time a 50 hit us, and when we were in the caravan coming from Afghanistan,
That's right. You can hear
over
that.
into Pakistan, God, I literally almost saw my pants.
When you were sitting in front of your Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Look at all of a sudden Kirin's like, all of a sudden Kirin's
Bing
got all
pow
these
over there,
jokes, and she's got the zing pows, huh? Look at Kirin. What are you doing? You taking comedy lessons here? You moved to LA? You start doing stand-up?
Nope, you just give me a lot of opportunities.
There's a lot of opportunities. It's a good point. It's a fair point. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all. Oh, and I didn't say thank you to Squarespace. I love you, Squarespace. You know I love you so much. Everybody, if I say website, you say Squarespace. I say beautiful website, you say?
I don't play that game. I love
Come on!
I'm gonna do one better. I love Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
I endorse it. It's great. I haven't met anyone ever who would say otherwise.
Okay, so I say beautiful website, you say?
I say go get a Squarespace account.
Good, that's all. You say Squarespace?
I'm not
I
gonna
say-
play your game with the.
I'm neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
This is what we did, man. We had to take a lot of these Al-Qaeda guys, and we did things, right, Paige? We did things
The product
that had
is
to be
so-
done. We don't talk about
Here's
them.
the thing. The product
Paige
is
and I
so-
were there. We were deep in it.
Neuro-linguistic programming is great when you're trying to sell crap. Squarespace can work on its
I
own
heard this
merits.
great story. I heard this great story from somebody who
You don't need to trick the audience into remembering Squarespace.
So here's a great story. This is a pretty good story. So this person who's, let's just say, yeah, they're in it. They're involved. Says that they would interrogate these guys, private contractor type situation, and they'd say, CIA would say, we're done with this person. You can release them. They'd give them to the contractor. Contractor would fly over the mountains, Pakistan, Afghanistan border, and we release them at 30,000 feet. Release them was code word for just, boop, Al-Qaeda guy out the door. What do you think, Paige? You think that's possible? That some people got released?
I think anything's possible.
There you go. Thank you for tuning in to This Week in the like deep in it. How much am I good for 20 now? What am I, 20?
That's 30 for you.
What are you counting?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You know that's beer money for the crew, not for you, Tyler.
I'm just
I
saying.
got 30 right here. I got 30 right here. Boom, 30,
Just
30,
saying.
boom, 30, boom, 30. Got it right there. Boom. Got my new money clip. Feeling pretty good. Hey,
You have to
Paige
make
Craig.
change for me.
Yeah, we can make change from the drum.
Okay.
All right. Hey, listen, Paige, thanks for coming on. You're always so honest and such a great guest, and continued success as an angel investor. Everybody follow at Paige Craig, Paige Craig.
Well, let the
on
audience
Twitter.
know. What are you looking for? Because you don't want just everyone emailing Paige, like, check out my shiny startup.
Yeah, everyone knows the best way to get to me is to have one of my friends recommend
Founders?
me. So, JCal or one of my companies or a Tom or
J-Cal, that's me.
someone I like recommend Tyler. Someone recommends someone I look at. I get
Tyler recommendation still?
I've given
Tyler,
Paige a
yeah.
couple
No,
good
Tyler's good.
recommendations.
He
Tyler
doesn't-
recommendation good? Okay.
You probably recommend maybe 3 things a
I'm
year,
very
maybe.
careful with recommendations.
Yes, you are.
He's
That's
good. He has
what-
a great
that's-
filter.
That's why you're my consigliere. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye.